Welcome back to Lizard of Doom. I am Max. In this one, I had a little challenge because it has been boiling in the UK recently. So apologies if the paint job could look a little bit chunky at times because I've been fighting the heat in the attic where I work. It's been 35 degrees while I've been painting this project. So without further ado, remember to do a little like, thank you, and a subscribe if you'd be so kind. Thank you very much. And it is time to...
Roll for the bash, roll for the bash, yeah. Roll for the bash, roll for the bash, yeah.
This is a 40k navigator, one of the most important people on a ship in the 41st millennia, and will navigate you through the warp and the stars to your destination. They are going to become something else today, but right now we don't know what. So let's have a little look at the parts. Front and back, got his arms separate and a little backpack. His head is unfortunately attached. That makes it a little bit harder for kit bashing, but we'll manage. Now let's roll for the theme of this kit bash. So straight off the bat we get an 18 arcane. Now this makes me think it needs to be converted to something a little bit more fantasy than sci-fi, although it is quite an arcane character from the 41st millennia. Now we need to roll for the special features. Now this will give us bits to target on the model for our kit bash. So we will have a deadly, 0 on a d10 is 10. We'll have a deadly something or other. Deadly leg would be the weirdest option and hardest to kit bash on this model. A deadly weapon. Okay, that's a suitable roll to go with the first part of that. We'll have a deadly weapon. But now we're going to roll twice on here to give it 2 special features. I'm hoping for something quite easy to do because this model is all enrobed, so specific arm or leg things would be difficult. 3 is a powerful. So what powerful thing do we have on this model? Please not powerful legs. That'd be weird as hell. A powerful accessory. Okay, that is more easily doable than any of the other options. I have lucked out on this chart for things to do to this model. Time to roll for colours. The main colour on this model will be 5 blue. I don't like painting blue. I don't know what it is about blue, it's just not my vibe. I'm much more of a red, orange, yellow enjoyer. And luckily for me, the second colour is red. Now, red is the colour of my Cities of Sigmar, and this is an arcane kit bash. They could use a wizard, I'm thinking at the moment. And for a little spice, we have got number 4. So that is a pattern. I will need to paint a pattern on this model. Over to the bits box for bits selection. Now I'm looking at the fantasy humanoid section here because wizard is the thing that's going around my brain. I'm going to turn this navigator into a wizard with these wizardly bits. Now I've got a lot of options here, a couple of wizard heads and some wizardy staffs and accessories and the like. So I'm going to break this down into options of characters I could make. So the first option I can see amongst these bits is a fire wizard, and then the second option is more of a space wizard. So all of these bits, phoenix iconography, flaming skull in the hand and a fire topper for the staff are kind of cool with a classic fire head. But over here we've got a deadly potion for his weapon and a powerful little space staff thing for the other requirement too. I think this stuff is better than this stuff. The fire stuff's cool, but this stuff just fits the bill a lot better, I believe. So bye-bye fire wizard, hello space wizard. Because this is now becoming a fantasy model, the first thing we're going to need to do is carefully remove anything too sci-fi. Like this little speaker in the collar, his little Vox thing, I believe it is. And everything else on the model that looks a little too space age for our new fantasy wizard, so he can fit in with his Cities of Sigmar's pals when this is all done. After a lot of scraping and cutting and sanding and filing, we have removed all of the bits and all of the tubes from here. The back doesn't have a lot to remove, just this little navigator symbol, and that's a bit awkward to remove in there. So what I'm going to do is take a tiny strip of sandpaper and fold it over something thin and pointy so that I can get it in there a little bit better. This file does have a point on the other end that's a little bit smaller that I will end up using because the handle I thought would be good in the start of this, but it was too big and I was at risk of hitting the edges of that design, which I wanted to keep. because the design is quite nice. I just want to remove that little logo from the Navigator there so that I can eventually maybe put a transfer there or something cities in that little circle. Maybe something that ties him in with the rest of the army. I'm doing a Hammerhall army, so maybe the Hammerhall logo could go there. I've scraped it relatively flat. You can still see slight remnants, but that is so flat in real life that I could barely see them with my own eyes. It's just when I see the lighting on the camera, I can still see them there. Now, this little backpack goes on the back here, and I'm going to cover it with this symbol. It's even got a little knob on the back, which goes perfectly into a hole on the back of the collar. Just need to trim these bits down so it can sit flush, and those little bits can just look like the mountain for this arcane symbol of something. Maybe he's a king's wizard, a royal wizard. So I glued them on, hoping it would cover the hole, and it didn't. You could still see that little hole peeking out of the corner there. So I thought the easiest way to fill that hole perfectly would be with the thing that is meant to go in the hole. So I reclaimed the backpack, cut off the peg that was meant to go in that hole, and forced it back through the hole backwards with a little bit of plastic cement. I actually took a lot of force to get this thing into the hole. I don't know if this was slightly miscast, but surely it doesn't make a difference if you put it backwards through the hole? Is it slightly funneled so that it should only go forwards through the hole? If so, strange design. Once that was nice and flat though, I could get on with remounting the symbol on the back to be part of this fancy wizard collar armor. Yes, he is an esteemed king's wizard. He wears a royal crest on the back of his chest piece. Oh, look at the lad. Oh, very fancy. This was a bit from an old Empire shield from the old world. It was like an extra upgrade set for different heraldry and stuff. That's where this cool piece comes from. Now, the front of the body. Some bits were going to be a little bit difficult to tackle here, but the gun pouch on the side there can just be a pouch. It doesn't look necessarily like a gun pouch, but this little bit is too sci-fi. That needs to go. It is attached to a little harness that goes over his shoulder. I'm going to leave that. He's going to have some other wizard equipment or something there that is hanging off this harness, rather than these weird little round sci-fi greeblies. So with them gone, this bit was looking clean. Not much else needs to go, just that fancy ass head. Now it is attached, and I want to keep it whole because it's a cool head. So I carefully dissected it with a scalpel so both bits are now eligible. The head goes in the bits box and we get the cool wizard head, who I've trimmed the neck and it fits quite nicely on there. Perfect. But then I forgot he has a front piece and now it doesn't sit so perfect. So I'm going to have to do a bit of green stuff on the neck in there to get it to sit nice. But this bit will also need some changing. But first the base. I need a smaller base because the wizard, the battle wizard for Cities of Sigmar, is on a smaller base. Easily doable. It's a slotter one, so I got a slotter base, trimmed the edges off, glued him in. He still fits okay on this base, luckily. His footprint isn't too big. Now with the green stuffed neck, you can see this wizard's starting to come together. Looking regal as hell, my boy. And now we need to change these hands. So first of all, let's get rid of this one. A simple clip of the wrist and the hand is off. This is going to be where his staff goes. This is the only left-handed pole arm I could find in my entire bits box. Seems a shame to waste that nice tip, so I've saved it and put it back in and trimmed it so it looked like it disappeared into his cloak. Now we can just glue the top of this wizard staff on there, which is actually a spare from the Battle Wizard set from when I used to have an Empire army in old fantasy. And he has a powerful accessory. Now the deadly weapon, this noxious gas spell potion thing, is going to go on the other hand. But I had slight concerns because that hand is kind of angled into the body. So I don't want the noxious gas cloud just staring him in the face and blocking all the detail out. But I really like it, so I thought I'll try it. I'll see what this looks like. And yeah, it's too in front of his face. This is the best position I could get. It's awful. So let's look for another deadly wizard weapon. And luckily, I have a sacrificial dagger from that same battle wizard set. This sacrificial dagger is of course deadly. It's used to sacrifice things, do the killing blow. So this is his deadly weapon. And once I had that in position, it doesn't take up his entire face and cover all the detail on the model at all. So this is the deadly weapon, and then the staff is his powerful accessory for casting wizard spells. Testicular torsion. And now I will put a little wizard accessory here on that little harness he's got there. This will be these scrolls. I'm not sure what kit this comes from. If you recognize these scrolls, then let me know. They're on a little chain linky thing. It could either be 40k or fantasy. I mean, it looks like it could be part of either. So let me know if you know where they come from. They were a very useful bit to add a little more wizard flair to this model. Now we're there. We're kind of there. I just need to cover up those scrapings from where I removed the bits around the neck. For this, I flattened out some green stuff on a little piece of plastic, but I could not get it back off the plastic. So I cut it out instead and thought the plastic may help. I then used this green stuff side down, plastic side up to create another scroll around his neck, trying to match the one that runs down the center of his body that was a part of the Navigator. I'm trying to make the style match so then I can do the same type of scrolls. This wizard has bequeathed himself with many a spell ready for the battlefield. So he can just whip this one off his neck, cast it, read the one off his chest, get the scroll out of his pocket. You know, he's got spells ready. This boy is packing magic. And with a bit of poking around and sorting out with a scalpel, putting a few impurities in there and imperfections, we have some wizard scrolls. Before we get onto the painting, we have the sponsor of today's episode, the regular sponsor on this channel, Only Games With Their Crates, but there is something a little bit different on offer this month for their coloured crate. So let's have a little look at what they've got to offer. The fantasy and sci-fi grey boxes are £15 a month, or the first one is totally free with code LIZARDCRATE. If you follow my link and put in code LIZARDCRATE at the checkout, totally free for your first one. Each one comes with 3 grey miniatures. The first one is this sci-fi one this month with a cool little robot kind of special cyber suit man, a gunslinger, and also this rebel looking dude. I think these are very suitable for Infinity this month. Sometimes they are more Warhammer based, sometimes they're other games based, sometimes they're a thing entirely of their own. These will be great Infinity proxies in my opinion. And you also get discount off the rest of the stuff on the website done by the sculptor. Now the fantasy crate, my favourite crate, and boy, this one does not disappoint. Perfect for D&D players and DMs. Look at this turtle. Hell yeah, we've got some sexy necromancers and a big ninja turtle, pretty much. It would be a monk in D&D. Look at this turtle shell. The texture on it's amazing. I love the extra detail of the monk stuff around the neck, and also the face looks mean as hell. He is ready to throw hands whenever possible. This turtle is... Now they've also been doing coloured crates recently, where they send you one 3D printed in colour miniature ready for the tabletop. But this month, they've got a special deal with Eldritch Foundry. If you don't know about Eldritch Foundry, let me tell you. You can make your custom D&D miniature on here, choosing from their thousands of options. You can make your own character. Now I'm making Ricky, who is a bard I have played for years in D&D, and I want to see if I can make him here. The options here are quite a lot, and this month, instead of your normal colour crate, you will get coupons for making one custom colour miniature from Eldritch Foundry. Now you will also be earning credit for Eldritch Foundry for each month you are subscribed when you get the normal colour crate too. So they will add up and you will be able to get your own custom colour miniature after 4 months. But this month you get one off the bat. Now this is your own custom design for £15 rather than the normal 40 to 50. So go and have a look at this now. You can get your own D&D miniature ready to play with. Just get it, put it on the table. No faffing about. This is a really cool subscription and it's worth a try this month for £15 to try out a service that is normally 4 to 5 times that price. It is really worth looking at. So check out the link down in the description below and get your Eldritch Foundry Mini. Even when you get the normal ones every month, you'll be earning credit now towards getting a custom one. Great deal. Thank you Only Games for sponsoring this video. You've only got to the end of the month. That's not long left, so go and check out that link now down below. Painting time. Black, red and dark sea blue for the cloaks. Red for the inner cloak because it is the secondary colour, and then blue for the outer cloak. This is the primary colour that I rolled. I don't like painting blue. This is my kind of workaround to paint this dark midnight blue. Also, these are the base colours for a couple of planets in this powerful accessory, the Wizard's Staff. Now, vermilion and anthracite grey to glaze up these areas to highlight them in kind of a drab way. Lovely little glazing as well as I could with the heat here. It was difficult. Things were drying as soon as I put them to the model. This was a hell of a challenge to get this thing painted in any kind of smooth way. So I apologise again moving forwards for any rough painting on this paint job. It was difficult. But once those two were glazed to a point I was happy enough with in the circumstances, it was time to move on to the rest of the model. Not bad. Not bad at all. I would pick out 3 different types of metallics on the model, using black for cast iron areas to match other little cities details on cities models, lead belcher for all the steel areas on the model, and then I didn't want to do gold, so I did bronze for all the other areas for little details and fancy little filigree bits on the armour. Gold would have been too bright for this drab style, so we're going with bronze. This is all the little areas picked out in metallics. Next, Agrax Earthshade. This will then darken down all those areas, make them look mucky, old and worn, and perfect for the setting that I'm putting this in. Once that was done, I did a little bit of highlighting back with the original colours just to pick out edge highlights on the model, and then also went up in some areas on the steel to a silver colour from ACRYL just to pick out sharp edges and bits that would catch the light, like this knife. For the cast iron areas, I would use anthracite grey to edge highlight all of the black, just to make sure that the details did pop and it wasn't just a flat black colour in this area. This is my secret tip for cast iron. You'll be seeing a lot of this on the channel as I'll be doing a fair few cities projects. Medium rust, thinned down as best I could in the heat to form a wash for all the areas that rust would form and water would pool on these objects when they're in the battlefield. This is for the cast iron and for the steel areas. I would do something a little bit different for the bronze areas, and in that I would use some nitric oxide to weather them down in the same manner I had done this. Now you can see also that orange has formed the base colour for another planet on the staff. This is a nitric oxide I would use to bring down the brass areas. After that, Screamer Pink, Bugman's Glow, Cadian Flesh Tone and Kislev Flesh would form a strange base, but this is my favourite way. If you watch the channel a lot, this is my favourite way to paint a really red, pinky, blood flow skin tone. Look at that magic. And also, oh, look at those planets there. I've done a little freehand of our globe, so you can see Africa and Eurasia across the top there, and then Americas on the other side. This is the best I could do on this tiny little globe. I've also got Mars, Venus and the Moon. Now it is time to tackle the scrolls. This would prove to be a little bit more annoying than I had banked on, because things did not go quite to plan straight away. Buff. This is going to be the main base colour, a nice yellowy off-white, but it is very bright. So I wanted to bring that down a bit, because that is too bright. I thought a little Targor Rage shade would give a nice tone to it, but it only really pooled in the low areas and it wasn't thick enough to change the tones of the higher areas, and I did not like this, so I had to figure out a way of toning this whole thing down to this. This is more of the parchment colour that I had in mind when I started painting this area. It's a little bit chalky and scratchy, and also I've done it on the back there as well where I'm going to put a little logo, but this is the closest I can get with the temperatures at the moment. Literally, this was drying as I was doing it because I was glazing Seraphim Sepia and also some buff back in the highlights as soon as the brush moved over the model, it was dry. So this was a nightmare. Now, for a little bit of detail on those scrolls. Space Marine transfer sheets have these little bits of writing on them. The little ones are perfect for the scroll I've made, and the big ones need a little trim, but then they fit in the scroll that runs down the middle of him. I have a lot of these sheets, so I've got a lot of these transfers, enough to do the whole scrolls on him. I thought about maybe using some different red writing, but I didn't end up using the Chaos sheet in the end. But I've got a lot of sheets of this, perfect for this project. And now also some little bits of Cities of Sigmar heraldry and other little tiny bits and bobs to add some visual interest to the actual scroll itself, like diagrams and drawings and illustrations in amongst the text. Also, we've got to remember the little spot on the back here, where I'm going to put one of the little hammerhorse sigils from the side. Unfortunately, I lost the footage. Here is a photo of the end result that I sent to my Patreons on Discord. Unfortunately, I ran out of memory while I was filming it. Now, pattern time. Wizard costume. Enter. Okay, let's have a little look at stuff we can get online for what kind of patterns a wizard would wear. I think the obvious one is the classic. This cheap little Amazon costume is perfect. Look at that, the stars and the dots. That is going to be our pattern for this wizard. It's got a dark blue colour underneath, which was going to be represented by our cloak that we've painted already. A little gold trim on the hat, I'm not going to do, but this is going to be the ideal pattern. And look at this guy. If this isn't a Grandmaster wizard ready for war, I don't know who is. Pale sand was going to be my paint of choice to do this pattern in, because I had a little fear that if I used white, that would be too bright and off-putting in amongst the colours I had done, so I need to keep it drab and use this pale sand. I coated this miniature in dots. This took a little while to space them out relatively nicely, but semi-randomly, as random as you can get by hand, and it looked a little weird. Polka dot wizard man was not the vibe I was going for, but this is where we are currently. Some of them are a bit dodgy, but that will be sorted out in a minute. I also reinforced the pattern in the cape with this colour too, to all make it kind of blend. Then I would pick out stars that I did not like. The dots that I thought were the worst ones on this pattern, and I would paint over them little stars with the same colour. This was a lot of back and forward, going back in with some of the blue, then back with the pale sand to make it a nice, neat star. Also, I would cover up other dots that were too close to it with some blue to make it look a bit neater and a bit more spaced out. This was not a planned pattern, and I think I am more sane for it. It was easier just to go with the flow and paint the stars as I felt it needed them, then plan it out entirely. I don't understand how some people can make like a painting schedule and stick to the design. My designs have to evolve as they go. It took a very long time and a lot of back and forth, but I am very happy with the results. It is perfectly matching that Amazon cheapy costume, and I did a little extra detail on the inside of the cape because it was looking a little boring now, so I wanted to freehand something that matched the rough vibe of the markings at the bottom of the back of the cape, because if I put stars on the inside of the cape, I didn't think that would look very good. So there's a lot of back and forth till I found a swirl shape that I was happy with on there. And then it still looked a little bit boring, so I'd go back and forth and do a little bit more trim up the side of the cape and in the inner bottom as well. I do a little line there too. Once this was done with air, thank you to my Patreons for supporting this channel. Your names are on screen now. I am getting some stuff back from the sculptor soon for my Union Jacked Miniatures game project, and I'll be putting it all on Patreon for them to see. So if you would like to support the channel or get involved and have a look at the updates when they come through for that project, check out the Patreon. You can join from as little as £1 a month for access, but £3 upwards, you get your name at the end of every video. Thank you very much. And our new Patreon this month is Bradley Smith. Thank you for joining. I am very happy with this wizard. This is a perfect outcome and something I didn't know I was going to have in my Cities of Sigma army. I am very happy with this. Thank you all for watching, and remember to like and subscribe. Leave a little like for the like god and a comment for the algorithm throne if you could. Thank you. Check out the Lizard of Doom merch store at lizardofdoom.com. I've started the new designs for the merch store now. I've got a couple of t-shirts ready and I'm working on a few more bits and bobs on there and some laser cut stuff as well. So with that refresh coming, everything is likely to go that's on there now. So make sure you have a little look so you don't miss out, and check out the Only Games link down there as well with the code LIZARDCRATE if you want either the sci-fi or the fantasy grey crate for free for your first month. That is all from me today. Remember, it is not a pile of shame. It is a pile of future fun. See you next time, kids. Peace.